Objective. After listening to this module, you'll be able to describe components of an effective assessment. Lesson planning assessment. How do you know when you're in San Diego? Do you see a sign that says "Welcome to San Diego"? Or do you recognize certain landmarks that you've seen before? How do you know that your objectives have been met? How do you know that the students did what they were supposed to do? What evidence do you have that each objective was met? One of the most common mistakes is that the methods of evaluation don't really assess whether or not the objectives were met. Each evaluation method or plan must directly assess whether or not each objective was met. Which evaluation plan is best for the objective? Students will be able to calculate their BMI or body mass index. Calculate is a good word because it's specific, observable, and measurable. In other words, how will you know if the objective was met? How will you know that they were able to calculate their BMI? That's why it's so important to use specific, observable, measurable terms in your objectives. It makes it easier to assess or evaluate when you have appropriate objectives. Have a class discussion on how to calculate BMI, or have students calculate their BMI on a sheet of paper and submit. Having students calculate their BMI on a sheet of paper is the better evaluation plan because that will indicate whether or not students were able to calculate their BMI. Having a class discussion is a learning activity. How would you tell if the objective was met by having a class discussion? You would have to hear every student say how to calculate BMI in the discussion. But once one student said it, then the others could just copy what the other student said. And it would be extremely time-consuming anyway to go around and have every student say virtually the same thing. How about a lesson on the importance of hand washing? Which evaluation plan is better to assess the objectives? Students will be able to demonstrate the proper way to wash their hands. Students will take turns washing their hands as the teacher observes, or students will complete a worksheet on the proper way of washing their hands. To assess whether or not they were able to demonstrate the proper way to wash their hands, the better evaluation plan is the one that involves teacher observation. Yes, you'd have to have the children occupied with a worksheet or something while they're waiting their turn to wash their hands, but the best assessment method to determine whether or not your student can demonstrate a behavior is to observe the behavior. Key point: the evaluation methods must directly assess whether or not each objective was met. And that's it.